No audio.
We're good now.
Okay.
I unmuted the wrong microphone, but we're good now.
Okay. Well, do I need to do all that over again?
You do need to do that all over again.
Oh, great. It sounded so nicely before.
Yeah.
Welcome, everybody, to another edition of Truly Inconsequential. Again, what do you call it? You got old Brim, Mr. Greer from the Grindhouse Radio. We do this with you every single week. Time in, time out. Always 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Wednesdays, live on all the social media outlets, as well as our official website. So hopefully you will hang out with us, chill with us, and get involved in the debate because, as Mr. Greer always says...
you guys are more consequential than we are.
Yeah.
Is that what you wanted me to say?
Pretty much.
Oh, okay.
That you guys are more important to the chat and the debate than we are. You guys help to fuel the fire. You guys help to defend the characters.
Yeah.
And you guys help to do this entire series. So,
yes. And apparently Mary is here to help us make sure that everybody can hear us.
That's wow. What do you call it? Well, thank you, Mary. That was a very big oof on our side. Sorry about that. But anyway, what do you call it? This week we have a very interesting episode. We're going to be doing, this is first and foremost, it's episode 30, which is crazy. Mm-hmm. That's first and foremost. But second of all, the title of the episode, Tough Love Comes in Many Shapes and Sizes, but needing that love, that is the question. We're going to be pitting against another two legendary Disney characters, both secondary or maybe even third-year characters if you want to really get technical.
Yeah.
But we're arguing Rafiki from The Lion King as well as Phil from Hercules. And, it comes down to whose tough love was actually warranted, getting results, and who just wanted to bop someone higher on the food chain in the head. So obviously you know where my stance is coming.
Yeah, absolutely. And everybody that's in here, much appreciated. Mary, Kim, welcome to the chat.
Hello, Kim.
Anybody else that's here, if you could, please like, share, comment on the stream. Because like I always say, the more interaction we get, the more likes we get, the more comments, shares, the more people that get to see this and join the conversations, join the debates, and that just the more people, the merrier. That makes it a lot more fun.
Of course.
And our world is run by algorithms at this point, so we need all the interaction we can get.
Kim says Disney, I heard. Mary says I can't believe it's already episode 30.
I know, right? It's pretty crazy. I can't believe we're already 30 episodes in.
What do you call it? I am absolutely loving this series. I'm glad that there's so many people that have enjoyed the series with us.
Mm-hmm.
And what do you call it? Obviously, guys, we just wanted to keep building and getting better and stronger. So the more people that tune in, the cooler of a time we're going to have. Again, and for those of you who are just tuning in, two major Disney characters we're fighting today. Rafiki from The Lion King as well as Phil from Hercules. Now, I'm going to preface the fact that we love both the characters. What do you call it? We love Disney. There's nothing.
These are two of my favorite Disney movies, to be honest with you.
Yeah, and at the end of the day, just because I'm going to go in one direction, hey, Chris, how are you?
What is up, my friend?
Doesn't mean that, what do you call it, I dislike the other character, and the same goes for Tom.
Well, and in all honesty, I don't ever think that Truly Inconsequential, the show, means that we don't like any of these characters. I think it's just a conversation having like, okay, I may like this character, but does he add to the story anything that is important, or is he just a character for the sake of being a character? You know what I mean?
Right. But at the end of the day, there are some episodes that we absolutely can't stand the characters.
Yeah, of course.
You know what I mean? So
Jar Jar Binks was a character. I don't know anybody that likes Jar Jar Binks.
But I mean, we've morphed the show over the last 30 episodes. To where it was like, all right, let's take the most complete worthless characters in our opinion and figure out who was more consequential out of the two of them too. All right, well, we can go a little bit further and take more popular characters and see what.
Yeah, I mean, we can literally go any way we want with it. You know what I mean? You can take the fringe characters and see which one's more consequential, but then it's like it's fun sometimes to take the guys that are mainstays in the movies or the shows and seeing which one would be more consequential than the other. Yeah.
So what do you call it? While we got you guys started, let us know, who do you want us to start with? You want us to start with Rafiki, or do you want us to start with Phil from Hercules?
Yeah.
So Rafiki, you got Lion King or you got Hercules? Which way do you want to go? I mean, we're gonna have fun with both these characters. And I think that the other character that could have fit nicely into this was Mushu, but we're gonna deal with him on a different.
We'll save him for another show.
Yeah. What would be funny would be a Mushu versus Donkey.
Eddie Murphy versus Eddie Murphy.
Exactly.
I think that'd be very funny.
That'd be funny.
Mary says Phil.
Okay. Well, Mary was here first. Mary says Phil.
All right. So do you want to take Phil first, or?
Yeah, why not? So, all right. So Phil from Hercules. Again, Hercules is not one of my favorite films from Disney, but it is a great film. And what do you call it? You can't deny that your favorite person in the world, Danny DeVito, did a great job with Phil. And the fact of the matter is that I believe that Phil is truly consequential. Yeah, truly consequential to the to the Hercules storyline. Is because without Phil, Hercules never would have become Hercules. He would have never trained as hard as he did. He would never learn. He wouldn't have been put out there, to shine which is what Phil did.
Now, the only thing that the thing is, I do think Phil is consequential to the Hercules story. It's just that I don't know if Phil's the one that instilled the hero mentality into Hercules, because if you watch from the movies and even from the cartoon, we don't even have to really talk about the cartoon, but Hercules always had this heroic personality. Like, he always had this I want to be more than what I currently am type of personality.
I want to be the very best.
Yeah, so
different franchise.
Different franchise. That's Pokemon. But, so I get Phil trained him and taught him how to be a hero, but I think the hero mentality was always a part of Hercules from the jump. Like, when he finds out that he is a god, that he's a demigod, that he's the son of Zeus, that want to be more. Like, I Can Go the Distance, I'm pretty sure is a song that he hears. I'm pretty sure that song happens before he even meets Phil. So he always had this drive to be better than the average human being, even without meeting Phil. You know what I mean? So I don't know if just because he comes into meeting Phil, does he become that hero? He maybe he would have gotten there in another way.
It is possible, but as Mary said, he was the turning point for Hercules.
Yeah.
Which I truly believe. Kim says, dishonor on you, dishonor on your cow, and then laughs.
Yeah.
And that will be another episode. That is going to be a fun episode. But in terms of Mary says, yes, but Phil pushed his buttons to be better.
True.
So, I mean, if it wasn't for Phil, listen, there are a lot of good fighters out there. You know what I mean? There are a lot of good fighters in the real world. A lot of good fighters.
Yeah.
There are a lot of good wrestlers out there. But if they weren't trained properly, you know what I'm saying? They would be nothing. You know what I mean?
That's true.
And the fact is, a good trainer, a good mentor will help get you to that next level. And and they'll always continue moving forward with you, even if you surpass the mentor. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They still stick with you, and a piece of them sticks with you. And honestly, I believe that Phil was that person for Hercules.
He absolutely. He was he was the coach. He had been training. I believe Phil, if I remember correctly, he was the trainer for the gods. He trained a lot of the other gods besides
Hercules.
Training Hercules. That's why Zeus sent him to Phil. So I do get that. Hercules always had the drive to be better, and Phil was the thing that kind of pushed him over the hump and made him. He's the one that taught him how to fight or how to handle things as a god or as a hero. So I get that. I just I just wonder. I want to say I wonder if there was somebody else that could have taught Hercules that, but then that's the conversation. We've had that conversation before. You can't just pull him out and replace him with a character. That's not what this show's about. It's if you took him out, does it change the story in any way?
And I think it does. I think it does. It changes the story in the fact that had he not been first of all, he had to be paired up with Hercules to begin with.
Yeah.
All right. So Hercules didn't seek him out. He was paired with him, correct?
No, Hercules was told to go find him.
Well, okay, but Hercules was told this is who you need to go to.
Yeah.
It wasn't, So and again, I apologize. It's been a while since I've seen it.
Yeah.
But two, on top of that, if he didn't seek out Phil and he just decided to try to do this on his own, what would have happened? You know what I mean? What would have happened? He would have found somebody else, but nobody with the knowledge that Phil gave him.
Well, I think it's more of just
he taught him how to be a hero.
I won't pretend, because again, I've used that. I've countered your argument with the whole replacing a character with somebody, that we can't do that because it's not about replacing the character, it's about removing him entirely.
Right.
So I won't say that there could have been another character that taught him how to do that, but I do think that if you took Phil out, Hercules probably doesn't have the success because he's just going into it himself. He would just go into it with a sword and shield on his own, and he clearly, even from the whole lead up into the movie, you clearly can tell that Hercules needed
He's a screw up.
somebody to guide him.
He was a screw up.
But not
He
even
was a
just
dork.
not even just he was he was a little bit of a dork. He was
Yeah.
like kind of a frail kid at one point, even though he still had the strength of a god. Like he
Yeah.
was still really strong.
All the power in the world, you got nothing to do with it. There's a lot of people in the world like that.
Yeah.
A lot of you know, a lot of potential, but you can't, you know, if you don't, you know, hit that potential.
He may not have became the complete hero he became. No, I get that. I think I that's where I think it is. I think it's a combination. Like like I said, Hercules always had the drive to be a hero. He always had the mentality to be a hero. Like he always was the I'm gonna do things for people, even if it goes against my better health or my well-being. I'm always gonna go out to try and help somebody.
Right.
He just needed Phil to teach him how to the combat stuff, how to survive, how to be more than just somebody helping a grandmother cross the street. You know what I mean? Like he taught him how to be over the top, like the over the top hero that they're building statues for. You know what I mean? To be up on Mount Olympus, to be worthy of going up to Mount Olympus with Zeus and the rest of the gods.
Right. I think that it's pretty clear. I think that, you know, the story would have been quite different had Phil not been a part of it. You take Phil out, and the story does it basically Hercules. His story doesn't end, but it falls a hella flat from where it turned out.
Yeah,
He wouldn't have become a hero like he became.
Yeah, I think you're kind of right. Now, what I think does, because we're only talking about the movies. I think if you go and you watch the animated series that they did, which was really cool, they did it on Disney Channel. I think everybody came back to do the voices of the characters except for Danny DeVito as Phil. I'm pretty sure everybody came back. And I think that like Hercules was definitely like getting into stuff and like learning how to be a hero a little bit on his own time without Phil in the cartoons, but just basically movie-wise, no. Without Phil, Hercules doesn't become the big, strong, brooding character that he inevitably becomes towards the end of the movie.
Right.
You know, so I can't. I like to try and think I could argue against Phil, but like you really can't. You know, like Rocky needed a trainer.
He's consequential. I mean, and now again, who's going to be more consequential between him and Rafiki remains to be seen.
Yeah.
However, you know, here Mary says how to channel his inner demigod. His inner demigodness.
Yeah, that's the thing. Yeah, Phil knew all the demigods and all the gods. Like he trained a lot. Like I said, he trained a lot of them. So Hercules needed him to, like you said, Mary, push him over the hill, like get him over the hump of becoming an actual hero.
Right. So let's move on to Rafiki. You want to throw your argument?
So that's the thing. Like, I guess it's gonna be interesting when we get to the who's more consequential, Rafiki or Phil, because I do think Rafiki is consequential because he's like the grandmother Willow from Pocahontas. Like he's the over knowledgeable, like spiritual guide for everybody, even mostly Simba in the entire movie. You know what I mean? Like after Mufasa gets killed, the only character that has the guiding knowledge or like the protective knowledge, it's Rafiki. Like, you know what I mean?
What about his mother? His mother was guiding knowledge, wasn't
not
she?
really. Not after. Not Zarabi really was that. That was, I'm pretty sure that was the character's name. Wasn't really in it until after Mufasa dies. I don't think you see Simba and her ever really meet again until the end of the movie.
And to be completely honest, I mean, I think Timon and Pumbaa taught him a hell of a lot of good information, like Hakuna Matata. You know what I mean? I
That's
think,
true.
You know, and so honestly, they guided him, you know, in a direction.
But if he just stayed with Timon and Pumbaa, he would have never went back to the Pride Lands and taken down Scar, and the Pride Lands would have just withered and died.
Okay,
You know
fair
what I mean?
enough.
Because Hakuna Matata is a very good phrase because it just, like I said, it means no worries. Like don't worry about it.
For the rest of your days.
Exactly. But it's that laid back mentality that if Simba would have just stayed with that mentality, he would have never gone back to save his home. Like he all the lions probably would have died out.
But to be completely honest, and I hate to sound cruel about this, but why should he care? They got rid of him. They cast him off.
No,
right? Scar cast him off.
Scar did, but the rest of the lion pride didn't. Scar as
they didn't have to go along with him.
Scar as well no, I mean, like the way it happens is Simba watches his dad die. Simba watches his dad get trampled by wildebeest, goes down, sees him, tries to wake him up. Scar comes up and tells him to run away. You know, like the other lions assumed he died. That's why Nala assumes Simba died. That's why they fight. They do that little like fight thing at some point in the movie, and then she realizes Nala looks at him and goes, "Oh my God, it's Simba!" And then they thought he had been dead.
Simba.
You know what I mean? So it's not that the lions didn't cast him out. It was just Scar scared him, made him think Mufasa dying was his fault. So he told him to run away.
Brian Little says, I am with Tom. Mary says he was like the elder of the plains. Brian said Simba is manipulated to leave. Fair enough.
Yeah.
However, again, Rafiki, you know what I'm saying? Like,
Rafiki's
talk to me. Like, what? Aside from picking him up at the beginning, jabamba, ukabada bamba, whatever the hell it
Rafiki's the reason. Rafiki's the reason that he goes back to save Pride Rock and save the Pride Lands, because Rafiki's the one that reminds him that he's not going to be, because the reason Simba ran away was because Simba was running away from his problems. Simba was running from away from the fact that he just watched his dad get killed, and that he was eventually going to be king, but won't have his dad there to guide him. Rafiki's the one that said, "Look, you're never going to be able to run away from your problems. You could either keep trying to run, or you can just deal with them. You know what I mean, and get better and learn from them."
But Simba was also taught as a young cub, everywhere the light touches is yours. Right? Isn't that what Mufasa told him? So yeah. Simba already knew this. He just had to go ahead and do it. So I mean, look, honestly, after a while of living out and Hakuna Matataing, it's just so much. I think eventually he would have wound up going back to the Pride Lands.
But there's no evidence.
Fighting.
But there's no evidence of that, because Simba.
No, there's no evidence. But
you know what I mean? Like, I know. But again, I see what you're trying to say, but it wasn't until Simba decided to take the jump and it wasn't after he got the wisdom from Rafiki that he decided to go back. And he did get Nala did say that he should go back. Nala was the one that was trying to tell him that he should come back and try to save Pride Rock.
It was Nala.
But he was against that. He didn't want to, because he had been living with Timon and Pumbaa away from all of that for so long that he didn't think he was good enough to handle it. It wasn't until Rafiki made him confront all of his issues and all of his traumas that he actually went back and tried to save his family. Right. You know what I mean?
Kim says, "Ha ha ha, Brim. What was that? I don't know when that was."
I think it was when you were saying when you said he was holding up Simba and you just started saying nonsense words.
Brian says he lives in you. Brian also says, "First, I'm going to take your stick." What do you call it? Listen, so another Simba was royal bloodline to take his father's throne.
Yeah.
Again, I think that all he had to do was come back, and he's bloodline, and he takes the throne. I didn't think he had to fight Scar. It's just that Scar was there, and Scar had those hyenas.
Yeah, but Scar had basically everybody from Pride Rock too scared to actually go fight him. You know what I mean? Like, the reason that they had to fight was because it's one of those like animalistic instinct things. You know, when you have to step up and fight the leader of the pack, the alpha, to make yourself the alpha. That's what that was.
King of the Beasties, Marius says, then almost like Jiminy Cricket, Rafiki is like his conscience.
Yeah.
Okay, but so I mean, are we saying that Rafiki is that one little thing that he did?
He's a spiritual spiritual leader of everybody in
the Pride. So, but since he did that one little thing and thing at the beginning and smeared his little head with the poop, whatever the hell it was, and then said, "Oh, you need to go back and fight him," and bonked him on the head, all that jazz, that makes him consequential to the entire storyline.
I would, because if you take him out and that doesn't happen, Simba doesn't go back to Pride Rock to save his family. Simba
was a boy lion, and then Nala was a girl lion. Simba would have done it for the ass eventually.
Clearly not, but you don't know that.
We don't know that
because you don't, because that.
But we also don't know if.
But that's not what the evidence tells us.
But we also don't know if Hercules would have found somebody else and become a hero. You know what I mean?
But I'm saying, but we're not replacing. We're not replacing a character. That's the whole replacing a character thing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? In your initial thing, you were saying that he would go back for Nala. You're not replacing a character. You're just leaving Nala. You're just making Nala the catalyst.
Well, that's what I would. I would say. Yeah, but that's not putting a new character in.
But I know that's not putting a new character in. But Nala wasn't enough in the movie. Nala wasn't enough to make him go back. He needed the wisdom of Rafiki to go back, because Nala said that he should come back. Nala was the one Nala did try to get him to go back to Pride Rock.
Yeah.
Simba didn't do it. It only took him running into Rafiki for him to even. I'm pretty sure he has to run into Rafiki, and then that conversation then leads to Mufasa coming back in the clouds. You know what I mean? Like, so I don't know. I feel like you need. I feel it's hard because he's not in the movie as much as Phil is.
Right.
But he's still one of those characters where he didn't need to be on screen. He didn't need to be on screen the entire time to have monumental moments and really pivotal moments within the movie.
Okay, let's see what do we have here. Scar was the tyrant or overlord. Smeared it with poop. Get out of here, haha. Mary, it was berry juice. LOL. Or it could have been either Kim's jam or Lisa's jam.
Yeah.
I know they jam on it.
Yeah.
Jam
Did you
on
know?
it.
Did you see
Jam
you see? There's a scene in the Lion King. This is not obviously nothing to do with Consequential. So you know the scene where Scar's laying on the bed on that rock bed in Pride Rock, and he's playing with the skull.
Yes.
Do you know the theory behind that?
Yes, I forgot whose skull it was though.
Mufasa's.
It was, right?
Because they said that the only real predator to lions is other lions. So they were saying that
he ate Scar.
That Scar ate Mufasa and is playing with his skull while Zazu sings "I've Got a Lovely Bunch of Coconuts," which is an absolute horror show. If I would have been absolutely devastated if I was a child and knew that.
Yeah. That came out not too long ago too, right? Well, no, it's at least a couple years ago.
Probably a few years ago.
I think
I might have
a newer.
I might have saw it on TikTok or something.
Yeah, that was. Yeah, I remember seeing that.
I'm definitely with Tom on that. Well, Mary, you're definitely with me on Rafiki, and I appreciate that. We haven't even gotten to who's more consequential than the other yet. That is a completely different conversation. It's just
that's going to be a tough one, and we have some time for that one. So
we definitely do.
We should probably start arguing that soon because it's going to be an argument.
Yeah, that is a sibling cannibalism gross. Yeah, that is, because they were brothers. I would love nothing more than a cartoon prequel of The Lion King with just Scar and Mufasa to see how we got to where we are today. I don't want that new CGI digital crap that Disney did. Just give me the old 2D cartoon.
Yes.
Do that, and I think it would be amazing.
Yeah. Is what do you call it? Was Scar mad because Simba? Mufasa got.
I think
the wife.
I think the rumor or like the backstory was like Mufasa really wasn't the greatest of brothers. Like he was always the child put up on the pinnacle, and he was always he was the alpha, and Scar was never really all that special. I don't remember what Scar's actual name is. Scar has an actual name that's not Scar, and I can't remember what it is. There's a whole backstory to why Scar became who he is, because Disney came out with a series of books, and each book is based off of a villain. Like they have one for Ursula, they have one for Maleficent, they have one for Scar, and I believe it tells that story in there.
Makes you feel bad for the villains.
Yeah. Well, that's what they've been doing. You know what I mean? Like they did they're trying to make you sympathize with the villains and see how they got there. That was what Maleficent did. That's what Cruella did. Mm-hmm. And honestly, this is difficult to choose. Honestly, both are pretty consequential. Yes, they are. They're both. They are both very consequential to their stories. But which one is more consequential? I guess is the conversation that we're gonna have to get to right now, because we only got 8 minutes left, or about like 7 minutes left.
Yeah. Kim says, "I'm sorry. That was you said that one." Mary had said, Lisa has made some malicious jams. Yes, I'm about to find out. She actually sent me some of them. So, what do you call it? Thank you, Lisa, for sending me some. I didn't receive them yet, but I'm looking forward to it.
Robert Rice, thank you for the follow. Much appreciated.
Thank you, Robert Rice. Did something come up on the screen? I missed
it didn't come up on the. I think it actually came up an hour ago, so we were not live when that happened. So that would be why. But like I said, if you guys could, please like, share, comment on the videos, on the streams. Be very much appreciated. And share. All the shares help.
I'm surprised your number one fan Jose's not on here today.
I know. I wonder where he is right now.
That's
not here to yell at us for who decided to make these topics.
I was expecting some slamming going on here.
Yeah.
All right, so let's get to it. So in the grand scheme of things, for you people tuning in, I mean, who do you think is more consequential? You think it's Phil or Rafiki?
It's really tough.
It's a very tough call. I mean, either way. Any way you slice it, it's going to be a tough call.
Yeah, like I want to say it's Rafiki because, again, you pull out Rafiki, Simba never goes back to Pride Rock, Simba never takes down Scar, and then Scar destroys all of the Pride lands and probably all the lions die. But, again, we have the same conversation that we had before. Without Phil, Hercules may never become the hero that he initially became.
Yeah. He wouldn't have got with Meg. He wouldn't have got. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like there was.
Yeah.
He would not have made it. He wouldn't have made it. End of story.
Yeah.
He needed to learn humility. He needed to learn compassion. He needed to learn, you know what I mean, how to be a hero, you know? And he's just, everything he did prior was just awful. I think even at one point, didn't he get like so full of himself?
Who, Hercules?
Yeah. Wasn't he like super full of himself? And didn't he tell Phil off and tell him to get, you know, and then they parted ways for
And
after they parted ways, he had a bad, you know.
I think you're right. Yeah, I think
downward spiral?
I think you're kind of right. Hercules kind of got a little too big for his britches and thought he didn't really need Phil anymore.
Mm-hmm.
But you see, that's also the thing is like, if there really was another thing that pulled Simba back to the Pride Lands, I would be totally with that. But it literally is Rafiki basically telling him, you have to go do this. Like, you're never going to be able to escape.
He was the voice of reason, per se. But the real truth is that this son of a bitch killed his father. That's why I think he really went back. And eventually, he might not have. Who knows?
Well, Simba thought it was. I'm pretty sure Simba thought it was like his fault that he killed his dad. That's what Scar makes it. That's why Scar manipulates him and gets him to run away.
Right, but I mean, I don't remember. I don't know. I don't remember how.
Because
he
I'm
realizes,
pretty sure.
I don't know. I don't remember how he
sure.
realizes that it wasn't his fault. When does he realize that it wasn't his fault?
I think it was just. I think he comes to the realization after he has the chat with Rafiki, and then he sees Mufasa in the clouds. That gives him the motivation to be like, okay, I have to go back and take back my homeland from Scar, who's basically destroying it and killing it. You know what I mean?
Right.
But I don't know. Maybe without that conversation with Rafiki, maybe the cloud of maybe Mufasa still shows up.
Yeah, because I mean, Mufasa, he was still having conversations with his father before Rafiki did anything.
Well,
right?
no, I'm pretty sure he only has the one conversation with his dad when Mufasa comes back into the clouds. I'm pretty sure that only happens. That definitely only happens one time. Kim says, "I'll be honest, both are important. Phil taught Hercules was strong regardless, and possibly could have learned on his own. Rafiki is the voice of reason. Only reason Simba went back. Now, yeah, well, yeah,
But like, does one small thing, you know, is that bigger than, you know, a long time? You know what I mean? Of you know, kind of time invested. Like Phil invested his. It was like they were a pair. You know what I mean? It's like having GHR without the three of us. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like you need it even with people who aren't with us. We needed those pieces of the puzzle at the time in order to get to where we were. Right?
Yeah.
So it's the same type of a thing. If Hercules didn't have Phil, he would have never gotten to where he was. Even with all the great magical powers, doesn't make a difference. You know what I mean? It's like you still needed that guiding light.
I'm just wondering that if you're like destined to be a hero and you have the drive and want to be a hero the same way Hercules did, does that mean that Hercules would have never made it without Phil, or does that mean that if we plucked Phil out, he still would have done anything that he could to become said hero?
If you plucked Phil out, he'd have been dead. Because if I recall, he was having issues because he was going and just trying to be a big shot, and I think he wanted to. No, I think he wanted to be. He wanted to be a god. He wanted to be able to live up to the fact that he's Zeus's kid, and he was told to go find Phil. I don't think he was going out fighting things before he met Phil. Rafiki invested years on the rock with Mufasa, though. Son was just a cub, so we don't know. Rafiki could have had some more crazy wisdom. I agree. Scroll back up, Mary. Both are consequential, but I'm thinking Phil is more consequential.
Mm-hmm.
Chris, you want to grab Chris?
Which one has the best advice?
Let's go down to Sandra.
Sandra. Phil worked with Hercules. Rafiki was like, "Hey, guess what? You're the real king." Yeah, that's true.
That's how I feel about it. I'm not saying Rafiki's not consequential. I think you're right. I think he did. You know, he was important to kind of get Simba back to the Pride.
Yeah.
I get it.
Yeah.
But he really wasn't hands-on. It could have been because he was a cub, like Kim had mentioned. You know, maybe because he was a cub, so he didn't have that hands-on time with him. So he didn't have that availability. But, you know, in the grand scheme of things, Phil was there, and he did. It was like doing time. You know what I mean?
Well, yeah. Well, Phil was like
he shaped him.
Yeah, Phil was the guy that taught Hercules basically everything that Hercules was looking for. Basically got Hercules to the point that he could take down the big Hydra, that he could take down Hades and all that stuff. So, No, I get it. I totally understand. Like, I'm really just kind of teetering on both sides right now because I understand that both of them are consequential.
Let's go with. Let's see what do you guys think?
It has to. Man, it has to. It probably has to be Phil. It has to. It almost has to be Phil.
What do you guys think? Drop it down in the comments real quick. Who do you pick, Rafiki or Phil? Who's more consequential? And we'll see what the vote is.
I wish there were polls. I know Twitch has polls. I don't know how to do that. Twitch has polls that you could set up and make people vote, which is pretty cool. True. I agree with Brim. He just realized he's not dead and was like, "I'll wait for him to come back, and I'll tell him everything." Phil was like Hercules' father figure. Agreed, definitely Phil. And I also think what helps Phil is the fact that Phil is more involved in the movie as a whole than Rafiki is. Like Rafiki's in it. Rafiki's we acknowledge that Rafiki's very important, but Phil's in virtually the entire movie.
And what's crazy is character-wise, I love Rafiki more. I would have preferred Rafiki to win, but in grand scheme of things, which is why we do this show, you know what I mean? Who's truly consequential and who's truly inconsequential? I think that Phil is winning, is what it looks like.
It has to be Phil. Phil has to wind up being more consequential to the story because he's the reason that Hercules is the way that he is. That's the way that it is. We could probably chalk it up. Simba probably could have found another reason to get back to Pride Rock other than what Rafiki said. Didn't, but probably could have. I really just think the crux is that Phil was a bigger part of the movie than Rafiki was in
the grand scheme of things. But who was more memorable in pop culture? Rafiki.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Which is again, it comes down to these type of conversations. You know what I mean? Where to try to figure out, like, all right, well, who really was more consequential? You know what I mean? Like Rafiki, in the grand scheme of just the world, people would know who Rafiki is over Phil. You know what I'm saying?
Well, yeah, I think.
But in terms of the films themselves, comparing the two characters, Phil is.
I think the Lion King was. I think the Lion King is more recognizable than Hercules is.
Yeah.
I know people that have never even seen Hercules before.
Really?
Yeah,
that's crazy.
It is really crazy.
Good movie.
One of my old roommates had seen Hercules for the first time this year.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
You need to get out from under the rock.
Yeah, and that's literally one of the greatest. That's literally that is one of the visually greatest movies Disney has ever animated. Like that movie looks amazing. So if you haven't seen it, go see it. But yeah, it's Phil.
Absolutely, Brim. But Phil did more. Yeah, he did. He did a lot. That's what I'm saying. So I think this is the first time overall that everyone said Phil. Everybody went for the same character.
Yeah.
Everybody.
I think.
They had all the Phils pop up in the chat.
It's just, like we said, Rafiki's definitely important. He's the very, knowledgeable, wise character, but it's just Phil had a greater role within Hercules than... Yeah. Anytime you get appointed by Zeus to train gods, you're pretty consequential.
Well, that being said, guys, we appreciate your time. We appreciate you hanging out with us. Make sure you continue to hang out with us Wednesdays, 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I know that we might have a couple weeks because Greer is going to be going away, so that we might do a little bit of an adjustment, but I think we'll still be...
That's not for 3 weeks.
Okay, so we'll let you guys know when that's coming up. But continue to hang out with us every single week, as Mr. Greer always says.
Rate, review, subscribe. Please follow the streams, like the videos, comment on the videos. All the interaction that these get pushes us through the algorithm, so more people could come do this and come join the conversations, come join the debates, and make this a lot more fun.
Chris says he hopes we do a Timon and Pumbaa talk. Kim says Phil, but that's because I can't choose both good characters. We try not to do two characters from the same show or film together, but it doesn't mean that it can't happen. So we will discuss that. That's a good idea. Anyway, guys, thanks again for hanging out with us. Make sure you tune in Thursday night, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for the new episode of the Grindhouse Radio. We have Mr. Riot on from the Alice Cooper Band, so definitely check that out. And we will see you again next week.
Later, everybody.